afternoon.
Hello.
Can we just get the latest team news that you've got, and in particular Leandro Trossard?
Yeah, with Leo, there is another test today. We have to see how he's feeling. He doesn't look much, so we still have a few hours, and we have to wait and see.
So there's a potential chance he could be available?
It is a potential chance, yeah.
You welcome back Martinelli and Odegaard and Madueke during the week. You did mention earlier on this week that you were hoping to get a behind closed doors game for Gabriel Jesus and some of the others. We understand this happened yesterday. Can you confirm that that happened? Who was involved and if they're in contention for Sunday?
Yeah, it did happen. So Gabi participated, Ethan as well, because he wanted some minutes. So we took that opportunity, obviously, for the players that they need a bit of exposure and competition to provide that to them, and it was very positive.
With regard to Victor and Kai, and there's one more, it's completely slipped my mind. Anyone?
Big Gabi?
Big Gabi.
Sorry, we know about Gabi.
Yeah.
Are any of those available, or how are they progressing?
Yeah, we have another day tomorrow, so let's see how everybody is tomorrow.
You described your players after the Bayern Munich game as immense. Have they surprised you in any way with how they performed and their mentality and their character, particularly in light of the injuries that you've had so far?
Not that they surprised me, but after you have to be able to perform in the manner that they did individually throughout a long periods of the game against that opponent, and that's very, very difficult to do. And I just said that that's the way I felt about the players, how I feel about the players, and now it's about finding again the same consistency on Sunday to go and win again.
I wonder if you'd heard Joshua Kimmich's comments after the game. He said Arsenal rely on set pieces, they love to play long balls. Today was not so much about football. What do you think when you hear stuff like that? Do you care? Do you use it as fuel or motivation, or just ignore it? No,
but I think the way we both teams play, I think the game they play against PSG was very similar when everything becomes man-to-man, and the way they are with their fullbacks, the way we do what we did in terms of rotation, they create a game that are very low sequences of passes, so I know what he's saying, so that's fine. It's part of the game. I think the game is provoked in the manner that both plays games, so it's very understandable.
Arsenal seem to like this fixture in recent years. The last 7 games, Arsenal have won 5 and drawn 2 against Chelsea. What is it about this fixture that seems to bring the best out of you and your players?
I don't know, obviously it's a big game, it's a big London derby. We're going to play a really, really good opponent. They are in really good form. And yeah, we know the challenge, we know the opportunity that we have as well on Sunday, so we are fully ready for it.
If you speak to Chelsea, they seem to play down their chances of potentially challenging for the title. How do you view them? Are they title challengers? Are they your main threat?
Well, I think we are all there, and they are there because they fully deserve what they are, what they have done in the last few years. I think the squad that they assembled, the numbers that they have, the amount of quality, the manner and the coaching staff that they have, you know, it makes sense that what is happening there is very, very positive, and they deserve to be there.
Final one from me, Mikel. This time last week, you were looking ahead to the North London derby, Bayern Munich and Chelsea. You've successfully negotiated the first 2 of those tests. How big a statement would it be, and how big a statement of a week would it be if you were to go to Stamford Bridge and win?
Yeah, those statements, we're talking about them every 3 days. So after beating the Spurs at home, then we had to make the statements again by Munich. We've done that, and now we have to go to the next one. That's where we are. We knew the importance of the week. Not only that, what is coming afterwards, after 3 days, is going to be exactly the same. Nothing is going to change, but we are super motivated for the game.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Jake from the Premier League.
Hi.
Hi.
If you do win on Sunday, though, how will you keep a lid on expectations?
We don't talk about it's not a lead or no lead. I think we need to understand basically what we have to do to be better than the opponent, to have the chance to win. And if we are able to accomplish that, we'll be to do the same in the next game. Nothing was going to change.
And on Sunday, Piero Hincapié obviously played against Tottenham, then you had Mosquera playing midweek. Did Hincapié do enough to keep his place in the Premier League team last week?
They both have obviously a really good possibility. Piero's played as a left back as well, which is another option that we have in relation to the opponent, the game, the state that the players are in. Miles as well is obviously a very good option that we have there. Keep using everybody and making them feel that they are connected with the team.
And just lastly, I know you said Chelsea deserve to be where they are. They always like to play down their potential role in being in the title fight. Does that surprise you?
I don't know. That's a question for them, I think.
Okay. Ian, TalkSport.
Hi Mikel, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
The Premier League leaders and team that are going really well in Europe, yourself against the world champions in Chelsea. Is this the biggest game of the season so far?
We always have the same question, you know. I understand. For us, it is because it's the next game, and we just live in the present and making the best possible preparation to try to be better than them and win the game.
I know you don't like talking about opposition players, and you've obviously had lots of very good young players coming through here at Arsenal. You've seen lots of very good young players come through with you when you were at Barcelona. Can you give me an idea of how exciting Esteval looks for Chelsea compared to all the players you'd have known at 17, 18?
I don't want to talk individually. When you look at the players that they have, the squad that they have, the quality that they have in those forward positions is immense, and they've done that really well. They have recruited over the years top talent, and it's not a coincidence where they are.
It seems that the youngsters these days, because you've had Miles Lewis Skelly, Ethan, Max Downing coming on for appearances this year. They've got Esteval. It seems youngsters these days that they're not fazed by anything. Years ago, you wouldn't be throwing in 17, 18-year-olds into this kind of high-profile game. Now it seems that they relish it more.
Yeah, well, I think that relies on the individual and his personality, his character, and his ability to cope with that context and the pressure that comes with it. And yeah, I think it's a really positive thing.
And I know you don't like to talk about opposition players, or indeed highlighting just one of your own team, but I would like to, if I can, in Declan Rice. Are we looking at if not this year, maybe next year, a Ballon d'Or winner?
I hope so. That would mean that we have won a lot, and because normally it goes very much related. Again, I think he was immense today. I think he's been immense since the start of the season, and it's an incredible and crucial play for us.
Simon, you understand?
Mikel, I know Big Gabby was going to have a scan on Wednesday to try and get a timeline on that. Have you got any more details on it? Because the sort of fear was he might not play again until January.
Yeah, not yet. I think he's evolving really, really well. We have to wait for that scan a little bit longer to be more precise in terms of the timings. But I'm quite confident that, especially the way Gavi takes every injury and the way he's going to push everybody, that is not going to be that long.
So you might get him back before the end of the year?
I don't know. We have to wait and see.
And just on Gabriel Jesus, now that he's had that behind closed doors game, is he ready to return to the first team squad, or do you want to arrange another friendly for maybe to get some more minutes away from that?
Well, we have to see. Obviously, he's been out 11 months, and you need that progression. You need to see how his body, that knee reacts, and what else does he need. The players that we have available as well. It has to make sense to have the right balance in the squad. So, the good thing, it's very, very close at the moment.
Tom Pogba.
Hi Mikel, you've played Mikel Merino a lot at centre forward this season, and you've admitted obviously he's not naturally a centre forward and he's had to play that role. Have you learned anything from him playing that role that's perhaps changed the way you think about the position when the likes of Kai and Victor come back into that position?
Yeah, we did learn that last season, because that's where we had to play a long period without a nine, and yeah, he brings other things to the table. I think his intelligence, the way he competes, the way he masters a lot of the things that are crucial for us in any player. He's got them, and then he's a real threat. The night again, he could have scored 2 goals. He was involved in many positive actions, and his work rate was unbelievable again.
And Gabriel Martinelli, who came on and scored, naturally has a very good record against Chelsea and has enjoyed some really good nights there. In your thinking, when you pick a team, how much does a player's specific record against a certain club come into your mind when picking an 11?
Not necessarily. I think we look more about the state of that player in the moment. What happened 6 months ago, a year ago, is not that relevant. There are experiences, there are connections within the team that, in my opinion, are more important than that. And yeah, very happy. What Gabby did again the other night, it was superb.
Okay, last couple of minutes live. James, he's here.
Mikel, you said the other day that Gyokeres and Havertz would have repeat scans. Did they come back clear?
Clear, not yet, but they are getting closer and closer. So we are very positive with both of them, and let's see.
Just on Victor, I mean, obviously there was so much focus about signing a striker of the summer and a lot of fanfare when he came in. Is he so important to you that when he is fit, he comes straight back into the lineup, or is the way the team's playing at the moment make it sort of more complicated?
Well, the good thing is that now we found another option. Because we liked 3 different options. The first 3 probably that we had in mind at the start of the season. But that's a really good learning as well from all of us, especially for me, to understand that, with other players, with other connections, with other ways of doing things, we can still be very, very efficient.
Does it help him then that the team's done so well without him, or does it leave him with a bit of a point to prove?
No, I think it's very positive. I think everybody wants, okay, we lost a player, 2, 3, we lost at some point 6 players in the front line, and the team continued to win and be very, very efficient. So I think that's very positive. And now what we have to prove is, okay, once we have everybody back, we're going to be still as good, or hopefully better.
Just last one for me. In March, when you played Chelsea afterwards, you said they were the best attacking team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still?
Yeah, they were. Well, the sample now this season is a little bit early in the season, so it's difficult to say, but it's one of the teams that I enjoy the most watching, and they have a lot of fluidity, they have a lot of threat, they have a lot of individual talent, they are very clear what they want to do, and yeah, that's why they are very tough.
What's on this side?
Hi, Mikel. Just on Gabriel Jesus, you mentioned he's very close at the minute. Would you need to see him play multiple of those internal games before you want to throw him in for the first team, or does this festive period where there are so many games midweek kind of help, I guess, bridge that gap?
Yes, what we see every single day, how he's reacting to the change as well that he had in load, and then he needs to get into the chemistry of the team, understanding the things on match time, which are very different to anything that you try to replicate in train, obviously, and those gaps, try to make them as short as possible.
When he first joined, I think he really connected the team really well, and the team now, from when he got injured, is even very different in the past 11 months. So has he been able to build those connections well on the training pitch?
Yes, well, it's been always one of Gabi's quality, the capacity to relate and connect and make other players around him better, and he still has that, and now he needs to find a way to do it with, as you mentioned as well, some very new players.
And over the last 2-3 years, I think there's been moments where I think you can see the team going to another level within a game. So one of the first ones that sticks in my mind was the Liverpool game where Martinelli scored after a minute, and that seemed like a real mental shift in the team. And the Bayern game in midweek felt similar. I was just wondering if you kind of felt that and what you took from that game in terms of a mental kind of state.
Well, obviously it brings certainty, security, and really positive energy every time you beat top opponents. When we did in the derby, it helped to generate that momentum and that belief for the next game. We did it against Bayern, and now we have to carry that against Chelsea. But it's just on the moment for the next day, and we have to use it in the right way.
We do start, though, with the huge Super Sunday clash between Chelsea and Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. It's first against second in the Premier League. Darmasheth has just been speaking to Mikel Arteta and is at the training ground now. Good afternoon. 2 from 2 then so far. Darmesh against Tottenham, against Bayern Munich. They could really keep the momentum going against Chelsea on Sunday.
Yeah, good afternoon, Rob. They certainly could. Look, this time last week, I was in Mikel Arteta's news conference, and it was being spoken about as a pivotal week because they had the North London derby, they had Bayern Munich in the Champions League, followed by a trip to Stamford Bridge. And as you said, they've successfully negotiated, more than successfully negotiated, the first two of those challenges, thrashing Tottenham Hotspur by 4-1 in the North London derby, and then disposing of Bayern Munich in the Champions League by 3-1. Now comes the next challenge, and it is a big one because you get the impression that Mikel Arteta is really impressed by what Enzo Maresca and Chelsea are doing so far this season. He's not surprised to see them near the top of the table, and he says that Chelsea, among the others, will all be there when it comes to the title reckoning.
It's a big game. It's a big London derby. We're going to play a really good opponent. They are in really good form, and yeah, we know the challenge. We know the opportunity that we have as well on Sunday. So we are fully ready for it.
If you speak to Chelsea, they seem to play down their chances of potentially challenging for the title. How do you view them? Are they title challenges? Are they your main threat?
Well, I think we are all there, and they are there because they fully deserve what they are, what they have done in the last few years. I think the squad that they assembled, the numbers that they have, the amount of quality, the manager and the coaching staff that they have, it makes sense that what is happening there is very positive, and they deserve to be there. After beating the Spurs at home, then we had to make the statements against Bayern Munich. We've done that, and now we have to go to the next one. That's where we are. We knew the importance of the week. Not only that, what is coming afterwards, after 3 days, is going to be exactly the same. Nothing is going to change, but we are super motivated for the game.
Yeah, so those are the thoughts of Mikel Arteta on Chelsea, and it's been some season so far, hasn't it, for Arsenal? 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League. They're 3 points clear at the top of the Champions League group. They're into the quarter-finals of the EFL Cup. The FA Cup is to come as well, and this despite all of the injuries that they've sustained so far this season. But there seems to be one constant throughout this season, and that is the performances and the high level of performances of a certain midfielder called Declan Rice. Now, he was asked the question, was Mikel Arteta, let alone being Football Writers Footballer of the Year, the PFA Player of the Year. No, one of the journalists went straight in and said, can Declan Rice win the Ballon d'Or? This was Arteta's response.
I hope so. That would mean that we have won a lot, and because normally it goes very much related. Again, I think he was immense today. I think he's been immense since the start of the season, and it's an incredible and crucial play for us.
Yeah, a little bit of early team news as far as Arsenal are concerned. It's quite positive as well. Remember, in the past week, they've welcomed back captain Martin Odegaard, Noni Madueke and Gabriel Martinelli. There's a slight doubt about Leandro Trossard because he came off early in that game against Bayern Munich. Mikel Arteta said he's being assessed and he is in contention potentially to take his place in the squad against Chelsea on Sunday. A few of the other longer-term injuries in Victor Gyokeres and in Gabriel and in Victor Gyokeres and one more as well, who I've completely forgotten. Rob, you might have to remind me, but they are assessing all of those players and they seem to be positive as far as Mikel Arteta is concerned. And another big positive happened yesterday because there was a behind closed doors game in which Gabriel Jesus featured for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta won't go as far as to say that he'll be featuring for Arsenal in the Super Sunday game against Chelsea. He's had 11 months out, remember, when he sustained that ACL injury against Manchester United in the FA Cup way back in January. But he is on his way back and he will prove, hopefully as far as Mikel Arteta is concerned, like a new signing for Arsenal, because he says Gabriel Jesus is one of those players who can simply adapt to every player that is around him. So it'll be a big boost for Arsenal if and when Gabriel Jesus does return to that squad. Let's see if it's Sunday. It's unlikely to be, but it is a big game and it's 6 points separating those top two, second against first. It's Super Sunday, Chelsea against Arsenal. Don't forget you can watch it live on Sky Sports Premier League. Coverage gets underway at 4.
I'm going to try and help you out, Darmish. Was Kai Havertz the other one you meant to mention?
Yeah, there it is. It was Kai Havertz.
Beautiful.
So many injuries.
Job done. Teamwork. Thank you very much indeed. Let's continue talking injury news and Arsenal's opponents on Sunday afternoon, Chelsea, because Cole Palmer is available to start against the league leaders. Palmer, who trained this morning, has been out since September with a groin injury. His return was then delayed after stubbing his toe at home last week. Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca is pleased to have him back and excited at the prospect of him starting alongside the in-form Esteval.
Everyone is happy, the teammates, they're happy, we are all happy, and the most important thing is that Cole is happy, because at the end, football player, they want to, play games and make session every day.
There's a lot of good players, obviously, for you to choose from, but I think Chelsea fans can't wait to see Palmer with Esteval. Do you think how sort of worrying for opposition defences do you think those could be as a combination?
No, they can play together. They can play together. Depends, against which team, depends a little bit the game plan, but for sure they are excited. The fans, they are excited to watch both together. We also are excited, thinking that at the end we need always, balance between the two faces.
Well, Maresca says it's too early to talk about Chelsea's title prospects. It was reported in midweek that the hierarchy have no expectations of winning the league.
I think it's too early. In any case, if we win, if we don't win, I think it's too early. We are still, end of November, we have still 5-6 months to go. I think it's very important when we're going to be in February, March, where we are, and from there we decide and we see if we can achieve something important.
I'll ask you in February.
Thank you.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem." The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first. When asked about Eze specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. "These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal." Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Eze's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. "He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play." It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team. As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Iza's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Iza's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Iza as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Iza's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Iza can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Iza, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Iza's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Mourinho's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Iza's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game, and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Iza can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Iza brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Iza will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Eberechi Iza was signed for. Martin Odegaard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of the knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Eberechi Iza stepped into the spotlight. Iza's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving ease out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and ease is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Ease has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Ease and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because Ease has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Ease had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now, with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just 1 behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Ease is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyokeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Ease is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Ease force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Ease's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Ease and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubamendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Ease has changed what we can do in the final third. That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Ease, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyokeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.